Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Hey, when I say branding, what do you think of? Big name brands, well-known name brands? Did you know that as a job seeker that you need to have a personal brand? You probably didn't, but that's okay because today's guest is going to talk all about creating and defining your personal brand as a job seeker. Personal branding is really important as a job seeker. It helps you create a cohesive version of yourself across platforms, build your social network, and it helps demonstrate your value to a company. However, personal branding should be authentic. You're not selling anything. You're simply demonstrating your unique point of view and your special skills and talents. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fainbrandt, Chief Inspiration Officer at the LinkedIn Bakery, and I am so excited for the first episode in this four-part expert series interview that I decided to create. So let me tell you a little bit about that. Wanting to help the community of job seekers because of furloughs and layoffs and unemployment skyrocketing, I decided why not plug into my network, find like 4 experts that can come on and help you get in the right mindset and give you tools and tips to launch a successful career search. So in this series, we're talking with 4 experts. We're talking about personal branding, resumes, and ATS, that's the applicant tracking system, and what recruiters are looking for and what they just don't care about. So if you're not looking for a job, I get that because a lot of my network are entrepreneurs and small business owners. But let's be real. You know someone who's looking for a job. You know someone who's lost their job or been furloughed, or maybe their industry has taken such a big hit that they're talking to you about, I want to get out of the industry I'm in. It's time for me to pivot in my career. Why not go ahead, hit that little button, that share button, you guys, right now, and let's just broadcast this out to everyone to help them get the tools and tips that they need and get in the right mindset. I want to inspire people because companies are still hiring, but you need to do a few things so that you can stand out in the sea of sameness from that job applicants. So today's guest, I'm super excited to bring on Raluca. She's a career coach and LinkedIn strategist, just like me. So you guys, when you think that you shouldn't network with people that do the same, have the same services as you do, I'm going to let you know that right now that's a myth. You definitely want to network and bring them into your network and collaborate and do joint ventures with them. So in today's episode, Raluca is going to talk about 3 things. The first one being personal branding. The next one being adapting a proactive versus reactive job search approach. And I love that one. I'm a firm believer in being proactive and not reacting. So it's really about being prepared, right? And taking action. And the final tip that she's going to talk about is networking, both online and offline. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on to the show. Raluca,
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that this is happening.
Yeah,
Finally.
This is your debut on LinkedIn Live, I heard.
Yes. It's a big day.
Big day. Well, let's make it super. I am really excited that you said yes to coming on because we do work in the same space. We're both career coaches and LinkedIn strategists and speakers. And I think it also shows people that you really should collaborate and do joint ventures with those that do the same thing. We're one individual. We can't serve everyone. And right now there's such a big need, right?
The time is now, to join forces. And
the time is now to join forces and provide value to our networks, especially to all those job seekers. So before we dive in, I got a couple things. Hey, network, how you doing today? I'd love to know where you're watching from. So if you could drop that into the comments, I'm going to go over here. Hey, Yvonne, thanks for joining us. I'm going to have an extra laptop over here, you guys, because right here, can you see? Because when we go live on LinkedIn, you can't see the comments. So I'm going to be looking over here to see those comments. And then I think we started a couple watch parties as well.
Yeah, I'm doing that as we speak. Yep.
Sweet. Well, Raluca, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this career and, what you love about it and why people should listen to you. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, hi everyone. I'm Raluca Topor. I'm the founder of yourworthonpaper.com. And I started the career coaching journey back in 2017 when I just decided to, after years of being a marketer, to finally invest time and energy to build my brand and just follow my passion. So I was fortunate. I'm originally from Romania and I moved to the US right after I graduated college in 2005. And moving here, I didn't realize that America didn't need another marketer. So I struggled for years to stand out pretty much. And I came across this platform called LinkedIn and I pretty much fell in love. It's not, your typical, it's not as exciting as Instagram or other platforms, but for me, I saw the value in it early on. And I also love to travel. So I moved several times across the US, from Florida to Chicago, then California. So LinkedIn actually was that constant, platform in my career. So yeah, I've been helping job seekers since 2017, and it's my passion project. It's what I love to do. So we're going to talk more about LinkedIn and all this stuff. I'll share more about my success story with the platform.
Definitely share a passion for LinkedIn, which I think is the best professional platform out there. They all serve their purpose. I have friends that are Facebook experts, Instagram experts, Twitter. They all definitely serve a purpose. But for me, LinkedIn is my jam, as I like to say. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a few people over here on LinkedIn. We have Iris from San Diego. Thanks for joining us, Iris. You've watched a couple of my shows, so thank you for tuning in again. Ramon is watching from Laredo, Texas. Love me to have some Texas in the house. Thanks, you guys. And Evie's out here in San Diego. So you guys, thank you. Let's dive right in. Let's talk about personal branding for job seekers, because I really don't think that most job seekers understand that they really need to have a personal brand. So if you can talk about what that looks like as a job seeker and what's the importance of that.
Yeah. So I know people are going to get bored of hearing this, but I definitely think that having a strong presence on social media, and not everybody's using social media, a lot of my clients are not, but having a well-defined LinkedIn profile is key. And recruiters will get your resume if you're lucky enough to, make it through the ATS system. And what they're going to do is they're going to Google you. So be very careful when you apply for roles. Do a Google search yourself and see what's kind of showing up. If you're happy with the results that you see, one of the top results is going to be your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that the headline is optimized and that you're mentioning that unique selling proposition, right? And I know you've heard this from Mary, if you're watching her, if you're following her, but I cannot stress enough having an amazing profile photo, something that you're proud of, not a selfie, not something that you took 6 years ago. Updating that, especially right now in these times, is key. You have no excuse, okay? All your family's home. One of the family members can take a beautiful photo.
This is the perfect time to really optimize your LinkedIn profile. And when it comes to that personal branding, as a job seeker, I think that most people just put their resume up on LinkedIn. But I think that they're missing the opportunity to really showcase who they are and the strengths that they have and their talents, right? Like in your LinkedIn profile, creating your own personal brand. When I was a job seeker back in the day, my brand was basically, I'm a cheerleader. I'll be like, hey, what do we need to do? Let's get it done. I can bring people together. So I'm like an organizer and cheerleader. That's kind of my personal brand as a job seeker, and it still is my brand as an entrepreneur. So we all have a personal brand, and I think that we need to really work on that as job seekers.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like people have also this fear of putting content out, which is key so what I tell my clients is, what would you like your hiring manager and the recruiter to know about you when they get to your profile? So let's say they found you. because everybody's like panicked. Do you want me to become the next influencer? No. This is not about that. No, it's about bringing people into your universe. And yeah, when they get to your profile, like I said, what do you want them to know about you? So write an article that shows your passion for leading teams, or LinkedIn is the best.
I always tell my job seekers, don't forget to fill out the volunteer section. And they're like, oh, is that important? I'm like, absolutely. It shows that you give back, and it can also show what you're passionate about. So maybe you volunteer with kids or seniors or animals or community cleanups, right? It shows that you're giving back, especially if you're applying at a company where they have that give back component, where they do community work together. I think that is like just a golden nugget that most people don't take advantage of.
I heard you say that on another live, and I smiled because I'm like, yes, I do that too.
Yeah, right.
With my clients. And while you were talking, something came to mind. I think people forget to brag. So they get so passionate about, their employer, the company, the boss, impressing in face-to-face. And they forget to take that online. They forget to translate that on their LinkedIn profile. And I think that's a huge piece, especially women. I don't want to say that, but it's true.
No, because you know why? We don't like to do the good job. We do have a hard time doing that, women more than men, whether you call it bragging, whether you call it showcasing, your expertise or highlighting your talents. So when I work with clients, they always tell me, I don't want to come off as salesy. I'm like, but you got to sell yourself, right? So job seekers, tip number 1, create a personal brand. Tip number 2, you have to sell yourself. Basically, that's what you're doing when you're applying for a job. You're saying, hey, look at me. I'm a great candidate. So instead of like being salesy, I always say, oh, you're just showcasing your talents. But a lot of job seekers are like, oh, I don't want to be salesy. But at the end of the day, you guys, you're selling your skills, right?
Yeah. And it's very interesting because I had to learn this culturally. I come from Romania. Talking about yourself is actually seen it's frowned upon. You kind of give this people want to see that you're humble. So I had to learn that in the US, that showcasing your skills is actually a requirement. It's not it's not a lack of humility or
no, it's just about I always say no one has your best interest but you. So if you're not putting yourself first in a humble way, but if you're not showcasing yourself, your strengths, if you're not saying, hey, I'm awesome, if you're not being your personal cheerleader every day, you're going to get overlooked. There's a big opportunity there for the, people that can showcase, and highlight their skills and talents, that can learn to speak up and share that across platforms. I think there's a huge opportunity for job seekers who can embrace and learn how to do that in the right way to really stand out on LinkedIn, stand out in their resumes, and of course, then stand out in the interviews.
100%. Yeah. Do you want to move to the next one, or should we continue with tips?
So your next one was, and I love this, I want to know what you think about how to adopt a proactive versus reactive job search approach. So why don't you take that away and tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah, so you probably see this day in and day out. Candidates apply, and there's this expectation like, okay, so now what? 10 companies I applied, I sent applications for 10 jobs, I haven't heard back. So really when I work with my clients, what I teach is really take this matter into your own hands. And what do I mean by that? Well, again, you can do your research on all these other websites, right? Glassdoor, all the other websites. But I strongly bring people back on LinkedIn, and I encourage them to do their homework, from researching the company page, finding recruiters, reaching out. And I know you have a bunch of recruiters, a great lineup. coming up later this week, and they're going to give better tips, more tips. But yeah, so building those relationships, whether there's a job open or not. But if you are applying for a dream company or you have your eyes on a few key companies, I highly suggest that you start building relationships, whether it's with hiring managers, with recruiters, or just simply with coworkers and peers, potential coworkers and peers. Yeah, other. Yeah, just not waiting around to. Sorry, I coffee didn't kick in. Not waiting around
I'm
to
just
hear
putting
back.
the tips. So
Yeah.
basically, you're just we're talking about getting prepared, you guys. And I tell my clients this all the time. So pick 5 companies that your target companies that you want to work for, but do the homework. Learn who they are, what they do, who's working there, connect with the people on LinkedIn that work there, and just have a good understanding about the company, the culture, the mission, the vision, because you want to go in to an interview prepared. And the worst thing that happens, I don't know if this ever happens with your clients, do they ever call you and like, Raluca, I have an interview today at 2:00 with that company I really wanted to get hired from. What do I do? Now, if you've been proactive, you'd be calm and the message would be, hey, Raluca, guess what? I got the interview at 2:00. I'll call you after and let you know how I rock it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's all about being proactive and being prepared. So when those opportunities pop up, it's no sweat. You've already got your resume in, right? You're going to go into that interview like, I know everything about this company. I can even drop some names because I've connected with some employees online and LinkedIn, right? I've already built that network. I know that they viewed my profile. It's all about being prepared and practicing what you're going to say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we do that in the interview preparation session. So I think people, this, people learn from stories, right? So I think sometimes my clients don't believe how powerful LinkedIn is because what I share sounds so simple. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story when I got my first corporate America, all full benefits. I'm not going to name the company. I don't think that's important. But it was back when I lived in Chicago. And pretty much I didn't know anybody. Later on, I found out I had connections, friends. But at that time, when I was doing my research and job application, I was really interested in one role, right? It was a marketing specialist role. That was my background. So I'm like, yeah, this seems like a great fit. So what I did is, and I teach this, and that's what I mean by being super proactive, right? I reached out to a few recruiters and heard back from 1 out of 6 or 7 people that I reached out to. And we had a great conversation. I kind of went over my background and he's like, I'll call you back in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's just one of those standard, responses. I'm like, okay. And he actually called me back within 2 weeks and presented a completely different opportunity in a department that they were just creating. So I say this during my webinars, and I think this is a huge, a great story to hear. How pretty much I got the job. Fast forwarding, it was kind of an account management role, so it was not exactly a marketing position. But judging by the title, it was operations analyst, what they called it. I would have never applied for that. And I think they did post the roles out there. But again, just by looking at the job description, I would have never applied. And that ended up being an amazing role for me. I learned a lot. I managed a few different hospitals, like the relationship with the hospitals. So it was fantastic. So that just shows how I believe that we create our own economy, even in these hard times when people are so afraid. And I hear this, probably you've encountered this. I hear this in people reaching out on LinkedIn or on Facebook groups. Like you can, hear, taste, and smell the fear. And I do think that this is the time when we need to reframe that and switch that. How can I use that energy into sending a message, applying, reaching out to somebody who might be able to help? Because it's so easy to feed
It's so easy to
the wrong thing. Yeah.
And I wish I had so every year I pick a word and I pick a song, and for me I pick a verse from the Bible, like, hey, where am I at? And to go back and to look at the words like change, fear, you know, and that fear, like fear can really paralyze you. And I get like it's really scary. I have an email going out that's going to share something very vulnerable that happened to me when I was unemployed years ago. It can be really scary, but if you just take an action, take 1 or 2 actions a day, like I'm going to increase my network on LinkedIn. I'm going to research a company inside and out. I'm going to update something on LinkedIn. I'm going to set up virtual coffees. Oh, that leads into our next segue.
Yes.
Look how I did that magically. So now is the time to be networking. A lot of people, I want to say, I know you might feel like curling up in bed and putting the covers over your head, right? We all have those days, especially during quarantine. Like, you know, let's be honest, let's get it out. This is COVID-19 times. And so there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And there are days where all of us, even us, want to just stay in bed and hide from the world. But I'd want to encourage you to get up every day and take one step towards creating your new career path, you know. And so one of the things is networking. Now is not the time to stop networking. Now is the time to network more than ever. So Raluca, you want to give us your tips on networking? And let's talk about online, because that's where we're at right now.
Right. So, you know, we were talking about getting out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there, right? So if in the past, let's say 2 months ago, right, you would have felt weird to reach out to somebody and invite them for a coffee. So maybe I should talk about this. So one organization, nonprofit organization that really supported me on my path here in the US is called Upwardly Global. And they support skilled immigrants and refugees to get jobs in the US in the same industry that they used to work on in their home countries. So moving to the US, they are really, I didn't have access to a career center. I didn't go to a university here. I came here after I graduated college. So they were really, they served that purpose in my life. And that's when I learned about informational interviews, which now we can call virtual coffee chats, right? So I used to recommend this to my clients, and I was met with a little bit of resistance, like, well, I don't know this person. Why would I reach out? But now, when that is, you know, that is not there anymore. We all meet virtually. So what a perfect opportunity to grow your network and to build relationships by inviting people to have virtual coffee chats. They can be from companies that you admire. They can be people who maybe left the company and you want to learn, you know, more what has happened. Maybe they got a better opportunity, or maybe the company culture is not as good as it looks from the outside, right? So yeah, the gold is in, I'm learning that in my business, you know, the gold is in the follow-up. And
my link there, I have to interject here.
Yeah.
For everybody, if you take nothing else away from this interview series, follow up in a timely manner. Follow up does not mean 2 weeks later. And this is something like, I have the sun coming in on me. Sorry, guys. That's the beauty of live. I've had to learn to really put follow-up on my calendar. Like, make sure I have time after a series like this or after a client proposal, right? Have a half hour to do the follow-up that's needed. I love that tip.
Yeah. And I love what you said in the beginning. And that's like, you sell yourself as a job seeker, right? You're the product. And sales is service, right?
Yes.
So what is this company missing out from you, you know, not taking that extra step? You might be the perfect candidate. I wouldn't let, you know, a job description, and I see this again a lot with women. And I think there's a statistic also, like women want to feel that they're 100% a great fit based on the job description, right?
We won't apply for a job because we don't check every single box on the job description.
Right. When in reality, by you building those relationships, right now, somebody can reach out 3 weeks, a month from now, just because they met you and they got to, check see your personality and check you out, what you have to offer. They might come back later. I have clients. This is so funny. So I don't know about your story, but my business started all on LinkedIn in 2017, and pretty much all my clients were coming from there for the longest time. But I did dabble just a little bit on Upwork, and I only work with 2 clients on Upwork. But it's funny because one of them just sent a referral, like one of her friends, yesterday, and I'm like, this is crazy because this happened 2 years ago.
Never know. So the whole idea with LinkedIn is that you're in it for the long game and it fills your pipeline as a job seeker and as a business owner. I just had someone reach out to me from a training I did 3 years ago, which now we have a contract moving forward that I'm really excited about. So you never know. So don't underestimate the power of a virtual coffee. Don't underestimate online networking. And I love the tip that you said that in the past, why it might have felt weird, right, or awkward to reach out to someone on LinkedIn like, hey, Raluca, I'd love to add you to my network. And could we grab virtual coffee? It's not odd or awkward right now. It's normal. So now is the time to step up your networking game. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too woo here, but I also think that gratitude and seeing the positives, reframing what's happening is key. Because that's what keeps us going. Like every morning we wake up, we can switch. How can I make this work for me?
You have a choice.
Yep.
So we talked about personal branding and why, as a job seeker, it's really important for you to establish your personal brand. I think in addition to that, it also increases your confidence. So for me, I see that with my job seekers, right? It increases your confidence. You should have a personal brand because it also allows those hiring managers and recruiters to get to know who you are and what's important to you. And then we talked about being proactive, being prepared, doing your research. You guys really need to hone in on tip number 2. And tip number 3 is networking online right now. And of course, in person when you can, but we're going to make this interview series happen for the time that we're living in right now, which is COVID-19. I don't know if I'll like that when I watch this in YouTube a year from now or so, or 2 years, but that's okay. So we had 3 really great tips, you guys. Raluca, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm trying to keep on time making these 30-minute interview sessions. So, because I know everyone's busy, you're applying for jobs and hopefully you're doing more networking. The last tip, you guys, that I'm going to throw out there, you should be networking 80% and applying to jobs only 20%. You're probably doing that backwards. Most of my job seekers do it backwards until they start working with me. So take that to heart. Raluca, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, how to connect with you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's very simple. You see my name on the screen. So I'm on Instagram at Raluca Topor, and on LinkedIn, same thing. Find me by my name.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would love to connect.
Thank you. Well, hang on there, Raluca. We're not saying goodbye quite yet, but I am going to bring something onto my screen here, you guys. Where is it? So for all the job seekers out there, or for the people that maybe have a graduate, right? It's graduation time, even though they're virtual. I decided I wanted to do something for, I guess, just anybody who needs it right now. So my job seeker course, which is $697, we are discounting it to $97 for the month of May. You get all the great templates, video tutorials, and checklists to help you get organized and ready to launch a successful job search. You also get all of my tips on how to set up a profile that attracts the recruiters that you want to work with. So you guys, this is an incredible deal. And like I said, it's $97 right? For the month of May. It's also a great graduation gift. I get a lot of requests from graduates wanting to know how to set up their LinkedIn and stuff. And you're going to get a ton of exercises to help you with that personal branding. And like I said, there's video tutorials. So I really hope that somebody will, I really hope that you'll give this as a gift to a graduate. I think it's an amazing gift. Oh, let me take that out. Brainer. So let me take that off the screen. So you guys, I'm super excited to have the first episode in my 4-part series with Raluca today. And don't forget to tune in this Friday, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, when I have a recruiter, Ben White, on my show, and he's going to be talking about how to reach out respectfully with a recruiter. So that's a question I get, like, hey, I can't connect with any recruiters. So we're going to be talking about that. And then next week we have 2 more shows. So 4-part series. Raluca, dear, it's so great just to see your face.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
When this is over, we're grabbing real coffee.
Right. Social media marketing world seems ages ago.
I know, that's where we saw each other, and LinkedIn Local. Like,
yes,
I do miss seeing people in person. So I think I'm just going to host like a huge coffee gathering, like take over a coffee shop. I'm going to plan it in the morning, post it on social media, and all my friends can come enjoy a cup of coffee with us. How does that sound?
We can have a virtual LinkedIn Local. Let's do it.
Okay, guys, you all have a great day. Thanks for joining us. And take care, and I'll see you Friday. Ciao.
Bye.